What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel as I'm getting a little bit farther into my sports discussions and basketball, football, everything in between. I love just talking to you guys about stuff like this. As a Packers fan, you can see I got Rodgers, got Favre out of there, the jersey over there out of camera, and it's a real old one, but if you want to see it, hit that like button. I'll bring it into the frame next video we talk about the Packers, but today I want to go over how I'm feeling about the draft. As a guy that's not an expert, now I'll mention this in my Christian Watson discussion video that'll probably come out after this one. I want to just talk about this draft and give my opinion as a guy who I don't claim to be an expert. I don't know everything about football. I don't know every college, don't know every college player. I just want to give my first impressions based off of statistics, based off of what I've seen as a person who does watch a good bit of football for a normal human being. But I don't get into the analytics. I'm not a very statistical based person. I just want to give you guys my basic opinion and how I'm feeling about this draft, because I love this draft, as many of us fans are. I'm in love with this year's draft, and we're just going to hop right into it. 22nd overall, first round pick, we take Quay Walker, linebacker from Georgia. Now, I believe he started in, I want to say he started here. He stayed in Georgia every year throughout his career. And in his final year, he started all 15 games for the 2021 National Championship team. 67 tackles, 5.5 for loss, 1.5 sacks, 3 pass breakups. And, if you go back in his career, he had a great stats the rest of his year. He had 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 43 and tackles total in 2020. And before that, in his sophomore year, 23 tackles, 3.5 for loss, and 2.5 sacks in 13 games. Not what we expected coming into this draft. A lot of people really were thinking we're going receiver. Finally, the Packers general management has seen the grass on the other side. They know they need to take a receiver in the first round, and then here comes Quay Walker. I'm not too upset with it. As we know, we needed linebackers. We needed depth on the defense, and defense wins you championships at the end of the day. In my opinion, no matter what sport you're talking about, basketball, football, probably baseball, hockey, whatever you're talking about, defense can win you championships if it's good enough. I'm a fan of this pick. I think he can come in and contribute right off the bat. That's what you're expecting out of a first-round pick, and he looks like he really should be able to do that. Getting this pick from Oakland in that Devonta Adams trade, obviously he's not going to replace Devonta because, 1, he's not a receiver. 2, Devonta is legendary and probably one of my favorite Packers of all time, but still, solid pick at that first round pick for the Packers. Second up, though, just a few picks later, we take defensive tackle Devonta Wyatt. Now, it looks like here he began at a community college. That's why I was getting mixed up. I thought Quay Walker began at a community college, but no, he started in Georgia, stayed there all 4 years. But Devonta Wyatt started at Hutchinson Community College. Had some nice statistics there. Played 12 games his first year in Georgia, 19 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Second year, 30 tackles, 1.5 for loss, no sacks that year. And finally in 2020, it looks like, he started getting the start more often. 25 tackles, 2 for loss in 10 games. And then this past season, obviously, all SEC selection to lead the Bulldogs. They win the championship. He catapults to 39 tackles, 7 for loss, 2.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles in 14 games this last season, playing every game, no injuries last year. I'm in love with this pick as well. Devonta Wyatt, a real big dude. You guys know Georgia produces those crazy talents on the defensive side of the ball, and I like the way this guy looks on the field, and I think he's going to be a solid contributor for years to come. Imagine you're an offensive lineman, you look up, you see this guy next to Kenny Clark. I would be terrified. I'm a skinny dude, but I would be terrified if I was the size of a lineman. I think this guy can come in, contribute immediately, just like I said about Quay Walker. I'm in love with both of these picks. Georgia, I hate them because I'm a Gamecock fan, but they make some great players. They're ready to come in and contribute. Probably not starting day one, but you can expect to see them on the field, and I'm really excited. Maybe we'll have to live stream some of those preseason games and just watch them together. A watch party would be fun, just to see what everybody's going to do. Next up, we got our second round pick, 34th overall, Christian Watson. We made, obviously, that trade to the Lions. I think it was, the Vikings made the trade to the Lions. Then we traded with the Lions to get that pick. You guys will see my thoughts about Christian Watson, coming or in my individual Christian Watson video in a couple days, I believe it'll be. But I'm a big fan of this guy. Didn't know too much about him until he got drafted. Like I said, I'm not an expert on every college, not an expert on every player, but I love this pick. I love his height. I love his speed. Everything about him says he's going to be a great receiver for us if our drafting receivers has any indication. But I think he can come in and contribute. I'll talk about the drop rate percentage in the other video and tell you guys why I'm not really that worried about it. Then, third round, we kind of went with a little bit of a boring pick. Sean Ryan from UCLA, offensive lineman, top 60 recruit in his class. I mean, started all 7 games in 2020 and 12 at that left tackle spot in 2021. He was all Pac-12 first team. Not much you can really say about offensive linemen. They don't have statistics that are tracked as I believe they should be probably, but I mean, he just seems like a solid offensive lineman. I like the man bun he's got going on. Wish I could pull that off, but Sean Ryan, not much to say. I think he can be a solid offensive lineman for us over there next to Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari coming back from injury. Then in the 4th round, it gets a little bit more interesting. 27th overall pick, we take Romeo Dubes, or why did I say 27th? 132nd technically, but 27th in the 4th round. Take Romeo Dubes out of Nevada. Don't know much about this guy at all, if I'm being honest. It looks like in his final season, he got, let's see. Where is it at? And he was first team All Midwest Conference in 2021 and 80 receptions, 1,109 yards, 13.9 yards per catch, and he tallied in 11 touchdowns. And he can return punts, which would be nice to have back there after our special teams disasters we've had this last season. Don't even get me started about the San Francisco game, but that's besides the point. Anyways, Romeo Dubes looks like a good receiver. Don't know much about him. Let me know if you guys know more about him. I'll probably research some more. Looks like he made a couple Mountain West Conference teams throughout his career. He was an honorable mention one year, and he was first team All-Conference in 2020 and 2021. So, obviously, he has some talent. Coming from Nevada, you know, Jordan Love's from there. Maybe they have that connection. Maybe they can be, you know, friends. Jordan Love might take over in a few years. Romeo Dubes might be that guy by then. But next up, this was pick 35, and I believe this was round 4 still. Zach Tom, offensive lineman in Wake Forest. Looks like here he won the Jim Tatum Award as a conference top senior student athlete and ACC football players. Cool fact right there. I guess, you know, you've got to have the smarts, you've got to have the brains and the brawn to be an offensive lineman in the NFL. Played all 12 games, and looks like he really didn't miss any time as a starter. 12 in his first year, 13 in his second, all 8 games or all 9 games in his third, and all 14 in his 4th year. So Wake Forest seemed like they have a solid guy here. He was on the All-ACC team a few years out of his career. Once again, kind of like that Sean Ryan pick. Not much to say about it, but looks like he could be a solid offensive lineman to come out here and contribute in a few years, or, you know, when we need to plug and play him there every now and then. And now I get to round 5. I'm so happy about this pick. You know, when Debo was available as a Gamecock fan, everything in me wanted the Packers to take Debo. They didn't, obviously. They didn't take Brian Edwards last year. They didn't take Shi Smith, or Brian Edwards the year before, Shi Smith last year, or 2 years ago now. Didn't take J.C. Horn last year. But, man, finally it happens. A Gamecock coming to Green Bay. Kingsley Enagbare or Enagbari, however they want to say it. I've always just said it Enagbari or Inagari or something like that. I can't pronounce it. I love this dude. They call him JJ. A very great pick for the 5th round. Dude at some points was being projected to be in the 1st or 2nd round. He did get injured a few years in his career, and he opted out of the bowl game, which I respect him for. Did make a couple All-SEC teams. 27 in 2019, he had 27 tackles, 7 for loss, 3.5 sacks. You know, just a great performance. 2020, he had 30 tackles, 7 for loss, and 6 sacks, which was tied for the 6th highest in the FBS, and 3 forced fumbles in 8 starts that year. First team All-Conference that season. He missed the final 2 games, though. 2021, it wasn't as productive, and 44 tackles, 7 for loss, 4.5 sacks, and 2 pass breakups. Great statistics despite not making a all SEC team. Can't really hate on it too much. I as a Gamecock fan, I'm a little biased, obviously, but I think this guy's got great things to do in the NFL, and I'm just so happy that we were able to get this as a compensatory pick. So you weren't expecting to have this, and I am excited to see what he can do for Green Bay. Now, here we are, round 7. Tarik Carpenter, Georgia Tech. Don't know much about him. 3-star recruit coming out of high school, Long County High School in Georgia. Began his playing career as a reserve in 2017, only 2 tackles. Started to ramp it up by his sophomore year. Yeah, he tied the team in lead for 2 interceptions. Started all 13 games, 55 tackles, 1.5 for loss, 5 pass breakups. Carpenter started 10 of 11 games in 2019, 62 tackles, 2 for loss, 1 interception, and 4 pass breakups. And then 9 of 10 in 2020, 39 tackles, 2 for loss, 1 interception, 5 pass breakups. And he started 9 of 12 games in 2021. Career high 65 tackles and breaking up 3 passes. No interceptions, though, in that final year. And I believe he's a safety, if I'm reading this correctly. Don't know much about him, if I'm being honest. Georgia Tech is not the most prestigious football school, but they've had their moments. And if I'm going to be honest, I'm intrigued at what this guy can do. I don't know much about him, but we needed depth on the defense, and we got just that. As you can see, most of our picks were on the defensive side of the ball. We only got the 2 receivers so far, offensive lineman. The rest is defense. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Tarik Carpenter, he could be good, he could be bad. Don't really know what's going to happen with him. Next up, from Miami, Jonathan Ford, a defensive tackle. Last year, he started 8 of 10 games, played in, he started 8 of 10 games in 2021, 14 tackles for the Hurricanes. And in 2020, he had 19 tackles and 1.5 for loss. This is a 7th round pick, so you don't really expect him to be a great player, but if he ends up being average, that's better than nothing. So I think Jonathan Ford could be that. Hopefully he's at least decent. Don't really have much to say about these last few picks because you don't really ever know. Rasheed Walker, offensive tackle from Penn State. He missed the end of the 2021 season due to an injury. Only played 10 games, but he was a reserve offensive lineman for his first few years. Got his starts. He made the All-Big Ten Conference honors the following 2 seasons. And, sure, Rasheed Walker, late round pick. Probably the safest you can do in the late few rounds is taking an offensive tackle or an offensive lineman. So I think this is a good pick for us. Rasheed Walker, hope you do good in Green Bay. I'm excited to see what you can do. And now we're down to the final pick. Simori Tori from Nebraska, 6'1", 191 pounds. Simori Tori is maybe how it's pronounced, from Portland, Oregon. He set school receiving records at his high school in Montana. Freshman year, 31 catches, 553 yards, 5 touchdowns. He returned kicks as well. Sophomore year, he played 10 of 11 games, 37 catches, 440 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he went on to another level as a junior, allowing him to get a few awards. He got Big Sky Conference Receiver of the Year and First Team All-League honors. Set school records with 87 receptions and 1,495 yards, 13 touchdowns in those 14 games. FCS playoff record with 303 receiving yards. Then he didn't play in COVID, transfers to Nebraska, led the Huskers with 898 receiving yards on 46 catches, 5 touchdowns last year, played 12 games, 9 of 12 games last year, and he did have 1 rushing touchdown. So looks like he's kind of a pick your poison guy. You can put him in a lot of places and he can produce. Obviously, he spent his first little bit of his collegiate career in Montana, which is the FCS. But hey, FCS has been growing a lot in the last few years, and as I've said about these last few picks in the 7th round, Simori Tori, I hope you end up being really great. I don't know too much about you. Looks like statistically he can produce, which is what I'm happy to see at least. And hopefully this guy will end up being a solid pick, or at least a solid contributor. Doesn't even have to be like a Hall of Fame receiver or anything, obviously being this late in the draft. But I'm excited to see what he can do. and how we're going to implement him into the offense. And yeah, that recaps the entire 2022 draft for the Green Bay Packers. Probably one of my favorite in recent history. We went out there, we got what we needed, didn't play around, got a receiver early, got defense early, got offensive lineman early. Super excited to see what we can do with this team next year. Whether we're not that great or not, I'm excited to see what the rookies can do. Let me know how you guys are feeling about this draft on the outside, and if you're a Packers fan, how you're feeling about this draft in general. If you enjoyed this video and this discussion, make sure to check out my Christian Watson discussion video that will be out in a few days, and I'll link it in this video after it comes out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next time. Hit the like button and subscribe.